So you're claiming to have brought the cash heists down. How are you doing this?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Jeremy, and a very good afternoon to you. Well, Jeremy, you know that on the 4th of June this year, the Minister as well as the National Commissioner of Police launched a national multidisciplinary stabilization operation. And this was after we started to experience an increase in cash in transit heists during the month of May. And since the inception of these operations on the 4th of June, we are starting to experience significant decreases and successes as far as cash in transit heists are concerned. We were able to bring the level of this crime down from month on month by more than 61%. And we also arrested over 40 suspects in connection with these cases. And of course, 4 of these suspects form part of the top 20 of the most wanted suspects for cash in transit heists in the country. So I think over and above the fact that we have these operations in place, I also think the fact that we were able to remove these 40-plus suspects out of circulation was also what helped us to bring down cash in transit heists as significantly as we did.
Brigadier, are you suggesting this afternoon that you've now broken the back as far as this is concerned?
Well, I think that, we'd like to believe that, but then if you look at in the last few days, there's been a few attempts, but also because of our security interventions, both police and private security, we were able to prevent the suspects from actually getting to the money. Even though they've made attempts, they weren't able to take the money. But for us, the concern is that the manner in which they so brazenly are attempting to rob these vehicles and putting innocent lives in danger. For us, if we can overcome that, and if we can also make people feel safe, I think then we can confidently say we've broken the backs of these criminals. And we're not resting. The incident in Dobsonville yesterday, there's been breakthrough on that. We will communicate that in due course. There's a lot of inroads being made into these cash in transit syndicates. Crime intelligence is doing a phenomenal job. Over this past month, they are coming up with a lot of information and intelligence that's helping both the crime combating team as well as the multidisciplinary investigative teams to track and trace and arrest those suspects.
So you're attributing this to 3 things from what I can gather. Obviously, better coordination, in other words, more force on the ground. You talk about better crime intelligence. And interestingly, you also refer to cooperation with private security. How does that work?
Well, remember, we have all come together in the beginning of June, and throughout we have been working together. We have put in ways and strategies of trying to, from the police point of view, we are dealing with it proactively. We're having multidisciplinary high-density operations. We're doing coordinate search operations. Just recently, the minister had presented over 120 high-performance vehicles to the most affected areas, particularly the hotspot areas. These vehicles are being used optimally, and with private security, we have come together, put our heads together on what they can do to up the game in terms of preventing these criminals from getting to the money. And I think our reaction time as well has improved absolutely significantly, and that is really what's helping us. But we want to get to all these people that are the masterminds behind this, not necessarily the trigger pullers, so that we can really say confidently that we've broken the backs of these criminal syndicates.
Which leads to my next question. I can't help but wonder if you're now starting to get a better insight into the modus operandi as far as these syndicates are concerned. You talk about taking 40 of the most wanted out of the mix. Is this the work of one big syndicate, or are you getting a sense that these are a number of syndicates that perhaps work in tandem, work in unison?
You raised a very interesting point in the onset of your question. Modus operandi is key and critical for us. Once we understand and we know the modus operandi, then it's easy for us to get to them, and that's what we were able to do. From the incident that happened in May, the modus operandi over the last few days has changed compared to May, and for us, our attitude now is to try and preempt the modus operandi. Not to wait for the modus operandi to be implemented. We are looking for ways of preempting the modus operandi so that we can be even more proactive in tracking, tracing, bringing these people to book before the crimes are committed. So when it comes to the syndicates, if you look at some of the incidents, they are not very professionally orchestrated. So we don't know if they are copycats just yet. We are busy profiling the crimes that the way the crimes have been committed. We're profiling the suspects that are being involved in these crimes. So that will give us an idea of whether they are forming part of, these some of the syndicates which we label professional and unprofessional for operational purposes. We're not saying that they're professional because we are able to, either prevent and combat and arrest them. So we sort of categorize them for our operational purposes so it can make us more effective and efficient in the manner in which we approach it both proactively and reactively.
Time and time again, Brigadier, we hear of the possible involvement or the influence of former military personnel in these cash and transit heists. Do you have any further insight into that? Are you starting to probe that angle in your investigation?
Well, so far, we don't want to speculate. There has been the speculation, but if we identify anyone after we've arrested and successfully prosecuted the person to have been of any particular organization, be it military background, be it in the police or road traffic, law enforcement officers, we will definitely expose them. But I think right now we don't want to say exactly who they are and be speculating on that matter. But there are speculations that that this could be the position in some of these cases can be are being attributed to military organizations.
But I mean, with respect, Brigadier, you must have a better sense now, having made this raft of arrests, as to whether there is possible former military involvement in this or not.
Yeah. From those 40 that we've arrested, we haven't identified anyone as having military background. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying only after we've arrested. If we've arrested somebody that's got military background and we've successfully prosecuted them, then we can confidently say that this is being used.
What are you able then to tell us about the profile of the 40 that you've arrested?
Yes, I'm able to tell you about the profile. But remember, these guys are awaiting trial. They're in custody. We don't want to talk too much about them. They are involved. They form part of syndicates. We don't want to talk too much about them, and we don't want those people that we are looking for to know who we are looking for.
Are they cooperating with your investigation?
Well, just to give you an example, this incident of Dobsonville yesterday, we arrested one person, and that led to the arrest of further 3. And now we are still continuing in 3 separate operations as we speak. So there is cooperation.